how the brain works. Welcome. We're going on a journey together, not a hurried one, not one with steps to follow or goals to reach, but a quiet journey, an inward journey into the gentle rhythms of your brain, into the folds beneath thought, into the soft electrical forest that lives inside your skull, the part of you that sees, remembers, feels, even when you sleep. This is not a journey through facts alone. It is a journey through wonder. The brain, cradled within the skull, is smaller than you might expect. Roughly 1.4 kilograms, a soft, folded mass about the size of a small cauliflower. Yet, it is the most complex structure known to science. It contains more connections than stars in the Milky Way. It consumes about 20% of your body's energy. Even though it makes up just 2% of your weight, it is both delicate and durable, both ancient and ever-changing, and it is the seat of your entire conscious experience. Right now, without effort, your brain is doing dozens of things. It is decoding these words, following their rhythm, linking their meaning to memory and emotion. It is regulating your heart rate, balancing your body temperature, even helping you stay still or gently fall asleep. This is the miracle of background intelligence. Your brain takes care of you, so you can simply be, so you can rest, so you can listen, so you can feel. Let's picture the brain, not as a diagram, but as a living landscape. The brain is divided into two hemispheres, left and right, but they are not opposites. They are collaborators. The left hemisphere often handles language, linear thought, details. The right hemisphere leans toward patterns, tone, emotion, imagination. But these are not rigid roles. They blend, they cooperate. Between them runs a thick cable of nerves. The corpus callosum, over 200 million fibers crossing the divide, allowing information to flow, to unify, to harmonize. Your thoughts are not made in isolation. They are shared across the bridge. The outermost layer of this landscape is the cerebral cortex. Thin and wrinkled, just a few millimeters thick, but beneath its surface lies a dense city of neurons. Nearly 20 billion of them. This is the part of the brain where abstract thought emerges, where imagination takes shape, where decisions are made, futures planned, and stories constructed. The cortex is your mind's canvas, but beneath it lie the older structures, the ones that whisper from a deeper place. The brainstem at the base is ancient. It keeps your lungs breathing, your heart pumping, your eyes blinking. You never tell it to do these things, it just does. Above that is the hypothalamus, tiny but powerful. It regulates hunger, thirst, hormones, temperature, and more. A quiet conductor keeping balance, and tucked at the back is the cerebellum, the little brain. It helps you move gracefully, walk smoothly, balance effortlessly. Even something as simple as brushing your teeth or sipping tea requires the cerebellum's quiet guidance. Each part of the brain has a voice, some loud, some subtle, some ancient, some new. But they speak to each other, they coordinate, they synchronize, they make you, you. And all of this is made possible by your brain's most magical feature, connection. At the heart of the brain's beauty is connection. The brain is not a single voice. It is a chorus, billions of cells, each sending signals, each receiving, responding, adapting. This vast web is called the connectome, the total map of how your brain is wired. It is as unique as a fingerprint, and it changes over time. No two people have the same connectome, not even identical twins. You are wired by your experience, by what you feel, by what you learn, by what you love. Zoom in and you'll see the brain is made of neurons, tiny branching cells. Each one has a cell body where its core functions live. Dendrites, which receive incoming signals like tiny listening arms, and an axon, a long fiber that sends messages outward. At the end of the axon, something remarkable happens. The electrical signal pauses at a tiny gap. This is the synapse. It's here that a message becomes chemistry. The sending neuron releases a chemical, a neurotransmitter, into the gap. The receiving neuron catches it, and the message continues. It's not a shout, it's a whisper, repeated billions of times. There are many kinds of neurotransmitters, each with their own tone. Dopamine brings motivation and reward. Serotonin regulates mood and stability. GABA calms the nervous system. Glutamate excites and strengthens connections. Acetylcholine helps with attention and memory. Together, these messengers form your brain's emotional and cognitive language. A shifting dialogue, balanced, responsive, alive. And these connections are not fixed. Your brain is constantly rewiring. This ability is called neuroplasticity. It's how you can learn a new language, how you can recover after injury, how habits form, how healing happens. When you practice something, the connections involved grow stronger. When you stop, they fade. Your brain prunes what isn't used and strengthens what is, like a forest trail walked often, like a path lit by repetition. Even now, as you listen, your brain is changing, forming new links, strengthening networks of attention and calm. And it doesn't require effort. It requires presence. It requires space. Plasticity is not just for the young. It continues throughout life, shaped by what you feel, what you choose, what you imagine. You are not a fixed self. You are becoming. And all of this complexity, this structure, this change happens in complete silence. There is no noise inside the brain, only electricity and chemistry, only waves of potential. And somehow, from this quiet, comes music, comes memory, comes mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your stories. All arise from patterns of firing and flow. But the brain is not just a machine. It is experience itself. It does not merely power your life, it is your life. So as we prepare to explore each part, from memory to emotion, from sleep to self, know that this journey is not about information. It is about remembering. Remembering what you are, remembering what you carry, remembering that even now, even in stillness, your brain is holding you, holding your past, creating your present, and shaping your future. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to try. This is not a lesson. It is a lullaby, a quiet invitation to wonder. Let your breath soften. Let your mind loosen. Let your body rest. We are going to walk gently through this inner landscape, through the circuits of memory, the chemistry of love, the pathways of dreams, and wherever your mind goes, that is exactly where it needs to go. So come with me into the soft forest of the mind. Let us begin our slow journey through the wonder of the brain. Neurons and signals. Inside your brain are billions of tiny messengers. They are called neurons. Each one is a whisper of life. Together, they make up the language of thought, the architecture of memory, the circuitry of being. You were born with nearly all the neurons you will ever have. around 86 billion of them. But at birth, many of them were not yet connected. That part, the shaping of who you are, unfolds slowly, over years, as you move, as you sense, as you learn. From the very beginning, your brain is busy forming connections. Every sound you hear, every face you see, every hand you hold. It changes your brain. It strengthens certain pathways. It prunes away others. This process is called synaptic sculpting, a quiet form of self-creation. Each neuron is shaped like a tiny tree. The cell body is the trunk, holding the nucleus, where the cell's instructions live. Dendrites branch outwards, reaching like delicate twigs to receive information. And from the other side stretches the axon, sometimes long, sometimes short, carrying messages away. Some axons are wrapped in a fatty layer called myelin. This acts like insulation around a wire, speeding up the signal, keeping it focused. With myelin, impulses can travel over 100 meters per second. This is part of what makes human thought so quick, so fluid, so adaptable. When something activates a neuron, a sound, a sensation, a memory, it generates an electrical pulse. This is called an action potential. It begins at the base of the axon and travels along like a ripple on a pond. This pulse is not electricity in the way you know it, not like a wire in a wall. It is created by ions, tiny charged particles flowing across the cell's membrane. First sodium rushes in, then potassium flows out. A precise dance of voltage and timing. But the pulse cannot jump from one neuron to the next by electricity alone. At the end of the axon is a synapse, a tiny space, no wider than a hair. Here, the electrical signal must become chemical. The neuron releases neurotransmitters, molecules like dopamine, serotonin, glutamate. These float across the synaptic cleft and bind to receptors on the next neuron. If enough receptors are triggered, the next neuron fires, and the message continues its journey. This happens at trillions of synapses throughout your brain. Even now, as you listen, as you breathe, as you begin to feel calm. Some signals tell muscles to move. Some bring you the color blue. Some recall the name of someone you once knew. Each thought is not a thing, it is a flow, a pattern, a wave of signals, electrical and chemical, moving through a living network. There is no single spot in the brain where a memory or a feeling lives. Instead, they arise from the way neurons fire together. As the saying goes, what fires together, wires together. This wiring is immense. If you laid out all the axons in your brain, end to end, they would stretch more than 150,000 kilometers, enough to circle the Earth 4 times. And that's just in one brain. Each neuron can connect to thousands of others. The number of possible combinations, the number of potential patterns, is beyond imagination. More than the number of stars in our galaxy. More than the grains of sand on every beach. This complexity is not chaos. It's order. It's the foundation of thought, learning, and creativity. Now imagine a well-worn trail through a forest. The more you walk it, the clearer it becomes. The same is true of neural pathways. When you practice a skill, a word, a gesture, a song, that pathway strengthens. The signal travels more easily. The action becomes more natural. This is learning at the level of cells. Conversely, unused pathways weaken. The trail becomes overgrown. The signal fades. This is how the brain conserves energy, focusing on what's needed, trimming what's not. It's not forgetting, it's adaptation. And even in silence, this activity continues. Your brain is never truly at rest. It is always organizing, always monitoring. When you sleep, when you daydream, when you pause, your neurons are still communicating. Sometimes the brain strengthens memory. Sometimes it explores possibilities. Sometimes it simply cleans, flushing out metabolic waste through a gentle tide of cerebrospinal fluid. All of this, the firing, the releasing, the pruning, the growing, happens with no conscious effort. It is seamless, effortless. A choreography so precise and yet so quiet that you rarely even notice it. You are not the signals. You are not the cells. You are the pattern they create, the dance of billions, becoming one. And that is thought. So now, let's follow those thoughts further. Let's see what happens when neurons come together to make an image, to make a feeling, to make the world appear before you. Let's drift into perception. Perception, how the brain builds the world. The world feels real. You see it, you hear it, you move through it. It feels solid, immediate, undeniable. But here's a quiet truth. You never see the world directly. You see what your brain shows you. You feel what your brain interprets. You hear what your brain constructs. Perception is not like a mirror. It is more like a painter or a storyteller. Your brain takes fragments of data, light, vibration, pressure, and weaves them into a seamless experience. So seamless, you forget that you're not just witnessing, you're building. Let's begin with sight, the sense that gives you color, shape, motion, that lets you navigate, recognize, connect. Light travels in waves. It enters your eye through the cornea, then the pupil, then the lens. The lens focuses it, like the lens of a camera, bending the light to a single point. That light lands on the retina, a thin layer of tissue at the back of your eye. Here, something magical happens. The retina contains photoreceptor cells, rods and cones. Rods detect light and dark, helping you see at night. Cones detect color, red, green, and blue wavelengths. There are over 120 million rods and 6 million cones. And yet, all the colors you've ever seen come from them. These cells convert light into electrical signals. Then those signals travel along the optic nerve, through the optic chiasm, where some fibers cross over, and onward to the thalamus, a relay station in the center of your brain. From there, the signals move to the visual cortex at the back of your head, but even then, you still haven't seen anything. The brain now begins its work. It detects edges, motion, depth. It matches the input to stored patterns. It fills in gaps. It guesses at what should be there. It compares what you're seeing now with what you've seen before. This is called predictive coding. Your brain is not waiting to see. It is predicting, anticipating, constantly testing its guesses against incoming data. Most of the time, the guess is close enough. So you see a smooth image, a stable world. But sometimes the guess is wrong, and the result is an illusion. Think of optical illusions. Lines that look bent but are straight, colors that appear different but are identical. What you see is not only what is there, but what your brain expects to be there. Now, let's turn to sound. Sound is vibration, movement of air. When something vibrates, it pushes air molecules outward. These compressions travel in waves until they reach your ear. The outer ear collects the sound. The middle ear, where the tiny bones live, the hammer, anvil, and stirrup, amplifies it. The inner ear, the cochlea, is where sound becomes signal. Inside the cochlea are thousands of hair cells. Each one is tuned to a specific frequency, like keys on a piano. When they bend, they release neurotransmitters, and the signal is sent to the auditory nerve, and then to the brain. In your auditory cortex, tucked into the temporal lobe, the brain decodes pitch, volume, timing, location, but also tone, emotion, meaning. You hear not just what was said, but how it was said. And when you hear a familiar voice, your brain retrieves memory, associates safety, comfort, love. Now let's feel. Your body is covered in sensors. Tiny receptors in the skin detect pressure, texture, temperature, vibration, and pain. There are millions of them, each type tuned to a different kind of signal. These signals travel along peripheral nerves, through your spinal cord and into the brain. They are processed by the somatosensory cortex, a long ribbon running across the top of your brain. Each part of your body maps to a specific area on this cortex. Your hands, your lips, your feet, each with its own space. This is called the sensory homunculus, a distorted figure showing how much brain is dedicated to each body part. The more sensitive an area, the more space it takes in the brain. But your brain is selective. You don't feel your socks until someone mentions them. You don't notice the hum of a fridge until it stops. This is not distraction. It is efficiency. Your brain filters constant information, tuning out what's predictable, focusing on what changes, what's novel, what might matter. This principle is true across all senses. Smell and taste are deeply connected. Most of what you call flavor is actually aroma, detected by olfactory receptors in the nose. The olfactory bulb, part of your brain's limbic system, links scent directly to memory and emotion. That's why a smell can instantly transport you back in time. Taste buds detect sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. But the full experience of eating, texture, temperature, aroma, expectation, is a rich multisensory process. Not just taste, but touch, smell, sound, and sight, all blending together. This blending is called multisensory integration. It's how you know that a voice came from the person whose lips are moving. How you understand that a glass is cold, smooth, and filled with sparkling water, all at once. Your brain doesn't separate the senses. It weaves them into a single moment, an experience. But this integration can also lead to confusion. Sometimes, what you see alters what you hear. This is the McGurk effect. Sometimes color changes taste. Sometimes expectation shapes experience. If you believe a wine is expensive, it tastes better. If you expect pain, it may hurt more. This is top-down processing, when your brain's expectations influence how you interpret the world. Perception is not just a reception of data. It is a negotiation between input and memory, between sensation and prediction. And it is shaped by your beliefs, your past, your emotional state. This is clearest in pain. Pain is not a pure signal. It is an interpretation. The same injury can feel very different depending on mood, attention, or context. Fear can amplify pain. Love can soften it. Distraction can dissolve it. This is why some people feel pain in a limb that is no longer there. Phantom limb syndrome. Because the brain's map of the body schema, is internal. It is built from signals, but exists even when the signals stop. You don't just perceive the world, you build it, moment by moment. You are not a camera, you are a creator, a composer of experience, a builder of reality. So the next time you close your eyes and hear the sound of a gentle voice, remember, Dash, you are not simply hearing. You are interpreting. You are imagining. You are not just present in the world. The world is also present in you. And now, let's drift onward to where perception becomes memory, to the places in your brain where moments become stories, where time itself begins to take shape. Let's explore memory. Memory, the brain's quiet archive. Memory is not a filing cabinet. It is not a neat bookshelf where each moment is tucked away in perfect order. It is something more alive, more fluid, more human. When you remember, you don't simply retrieve a fact. You reassemble a moment. You light up a network. You recreate an echo. Memory is not the past. It is the brain's reconstruction of the past, built in the present, colored by feeling, shaped by who you are now. Each memory, a collaboration between past and present. Let's begin with where memories begin. Deep inside the brain lies the hippocampus, named for its curved, seahorse-like shape. It is part of the limbic system, the emotional core of the brain. And it acts as a kind of gateway, helping convert fleeting experiences into lasting impressions. Without the hippocampus, new memories cannot form. You could live through a moment, but never hold on to it. Every encounter would dissolve. Every conversation would vanish. The hippocampus works in concert with the prefrontal cortex, the area just behind your forehead. This part of the brain plans, organizes, filters, and reflects. Together, these two regions determine what gets stored, what fades, and what may return later in a dream. They help you build a mental library, not just of facts, but of meaning. Picture a moment. You meet someone new. You hear their voice. Notice the shape of their smile. Feel a subtle shift in the air between you. These details are not captured in one place. They're processed in different regions. Visual, auditory, emotional, and yet somehow they come together. This is the work of binding Dash, the hippocampus linking fragments into a single memory. But even then, the memory is not permanent. At first it is delicate, changeable, like wet paint on canvas. This is where sleep becomes essential. During sleep, especially REM sleep, your brain revisits, reorganizes, strengthens. This is called consolidation Dash, the storing of experience into long-term memory. Sleep is not forgetting. It is remembering, softly, quietly, with care. That's why rest improves recall. Why dreams borrow pieces of waking life. Why a nap after learning can help ideas take root. Sleep is the mind's librarian, tucking moments gently into place. But memory is not like a recording. Each time you recall something, you recreate it. The same brain areas reactivate. But you don't just retrieve, you also revise. This process is called reconsolidation, the act of remembering and slightly rewriting. New feelings can change old memories. New information can blend into what you thought you knew. Memory is a living thing, shaped by attention, by mood, by belief. That's why stories shift. Why the past softens, or sharpens, or reshapes itself as you change. You might recall a moment of kindness and feel more warmth now than you did then. You might revisit a mistake and feel more forgiveness than you expected. The memory hasn't changed entirely, but your relationship to it has, and that is just as real. So memory is not a museum. It is not static. It is not cold. It is a living archive, built not just from experience, but from interpretation. It grows as you grow, learns as you learn. One of the most powerful forces shaping memory is emotion. The amygdala, small, almond-shaped, and deep in the brain, is tuned to emotional intensity. It watches for danger, for joy, for pain, and when it senses something important, it flags it for memory. It tells the hippocampus, this matters. It boosts the brain's signal to remember, so a moment of wonder or heartbreak leaves a stronger trace. This is why you remember where you were when something profound happened. Why the feeling of a first kiss or a sudden loss feels vivid even after years. Emotion burns memory into the mind. But this also means pain can become deeply embedded. Trauma can leave memories that feel sharp, overwhelming, impossible to forget. This is not weakness. It is the brain's way of protecting you, of learning what to avoid, what to guard against. Yet memory is not fixed. Even painful ones can soften with time, with care, with the creation of new, gentler memories nearby. Memory can be healed through reflection, through conversation, through therapy. The brain can lay down new pathways of safety, of understanding, of peace. You are not frozen in your past. You are shaped by it, but not trapped within it. And memory is not just about what we store, it's about how we use it. Your memories create your sense of self, your identity, your continuity in time. There's a condition called amnesia, where a person loses access to personal memories, and with it, often loses a clear sense of who they are. But it's not just the past they struggle with. They also struggle to imagine the future, because imagining tomorrow uses many of the same brain regions as remembering yesterday. The hippocampus, again, is at the heart of this. It doesn't just build memory, it builds possibility. It lets you simulate, plan, dream, hope. Your past helps shape your future. Not just through what happened, but through what you learned. There are many kinds of memory, each with its own rhythm and its own home in the brain. Episodic memory, the stories of your life, where you were, who you were with, what you felt. Semantic memory, facts and knowledge, the capital of France, the meaning of a word, the rules of a game, procedural memory, movement and skill, how to ride a bike, how to tie a knot, how to play a song by feel. Episodic memory lives in the hippocampus and surrounding cortex. It is the most personal and often the most fragile, but also the most meaningful. Semantic memory builds slowly, a layered library of knowledge. Constructed through repetition, language, and study, procedural memory lives deep in the brain, in the basal ganglia and the cerebellum. It is the most enduring, the most automatic. Once learned, it rarely fades. Even when other kinds of memory weaken, procedural memory often remains. This is why someone with Alzheimer's may forget faces, but still play the piano, or tie a shoelace, or dance. The memory lives in the body, in motion, in rhythm. And sometimes, all it takes is a cue, a sound, a scent, a sensation. Smell, especially, is a powerful trigger, because the brain's olfactory system is closely linked to memory and emotion. A single scent can transport you across years to a place, a feeling, a person. Memory is a web dash, not a line. One thread touches another. One moment leads to many, and you don't have to remember everything. What matters tends to remain or return when needed. You are not the keeper of a perfect record. You are the keeper of meaning. So if something is slipping from your memory, let it slip. If it's important, it may come back. And if not, perhaps your brain is making space for rest, for presence, for peace. As you lie here now, your mind may be reviewing, sorting, softly filing moments of your day. Even in sleep, memory breathes. It rewires, it rebuilds, it lets go, and it holds on. So trust it. You are not forgetting everything. You are remembering what matters. And tomorrow, your brain will begin again, learning, linking, becoming. So, let us move forward now, toward the next part of the mind, the stream of thought, the quiet current that flows beneath the surface. Let's explore how we think. Thought, the flow within. Thought is the quiet voice within your mind. Sometimes it arrives in words, sometimes in images, sometimes as a feeling you cannot quite name. It rises and it fades. It loops or drifts. It is the texture of your awareness, software shifting, alive. But where do thoughts come from? What begins a thought? What stirs the first ripple? No one fully knows. Even scientists who study the brain's electrical activity can't always pinpoint the moment a thought starts. But we do know this. Thoughts arise from patterns, from connections, from networks of neurons activating together. There is no single thinking center in the brain, but one area plays a central role, the prefrontal cortex. Just behind your forehead, this region is responsible for focus, reasoning, decision-making, holding information in mind. It's where you plan, where you consider, where you weigh possibilities. This is called working memory, your mental workspace. It allows you to hold a phone number, to rehearse a sentence, to keep track of steps in a recipe or lines in a song. But the prefrontal cortex doesn't act alone. It draws on memory from the hippocampus, emotion from the limbic system, language from the temporal lobes, vision and movement and attention from many more. Thought is a networked process. It is not confined. It is collaboration. There are specific regions involved in language. One is Broca's area, near the left frontal lobe. It helps form speech. It turns thought into words. Another is Wernicke's area, farther back in the temporal lobe. It helps understand language. It gives meaning to what you hear and say. When these regions connect, through pathways like the arcuate fasciculus, you can speak, listen, read, write. You can hold a conversation. You can reflect. But not all thoughts are verbal. Many rise without words. You can think in images, in feelings, in patterns. Some people see vivid mental pictures. Others hear full inner conversations. Some think symbolically, musically, or spatially. There is no right way to think, only your way. The inner voice is especially personal. It is shaped by experience, by how you were spoken to, by your culture, by your habits of mind. Sometimes it is kind, encouraging, gentle. Other times it is critical, doubtful, sharp. But this voice can change through awareness, through care, through practice. When you speak to yourself with compassion, your brain hears it. It builds new patterns. Self-talk is not just background noise, it is wiring. And just as you think of yourself, you can think of others. This is called theory of mind. The ability to imagine what someone else is thinking or feeling. It is the foundation of empathy, of connection, of storytelling. It allows you to step outside yourself, to hold another's perspective. Some thoughts are fast and fleeting. Others repeat over and over. This repetition can be helpful, like practicing a speech, or unhelpful, like worry that loops with no resolution. This is called rumination. It can lead to anxiety, to mental fatigue, to stuckness. But even here, there is a gentle way through. Mindfulness offers a different stance. Instead of engaging every thought, you observe them, like clouds in the sky, like leaves on a stream. They pass. You are not the thought. You are the one who notices it. The brain produces thoughts constantly, but not all of them are true. Not all are useful, and not all are yours. Some come from fear, some from memory, some from culture or habit. But you are the space those thoughts move through. You are the witness. Now let's explore imagination. Imagination is thought turned inward. It is the ability to create something that isn't there, to simulate, to invent, to rehearse, to dream. When you imagine, your brain activates many of the same circuits as real experience. It plays scenes like a movie. It creates voices. It paints images. But these signals come from within. You are not observing the world. You are building one. This is not just fantasy. It's preparation. Imagination helps you solve problems. Try out futures, heal from the past, empathize with others. And like any skill, it can be strengthened. The more you imagine, the more vivid your mental worlds become. For children, this is play. For adults, this is creativity. For all of us, it is possibility. Even the most advanced computers cannot truly imagine. They can predict, they can simulate, but they cannot dream. Dreaming is human. It is meaning in motion. And language, spoken or internal, gives shape to that meaning. It lets you narrate your life, reflect on your feelings, ask questions of the world, and answer them too. But sometimes, the most powerful thought is silence, a moment of pause, of stillness, of breath. So if your thoughts have grown quiet, let them stay quiet. There is no need to think clearly now. There is only presence. There is only rest. And even now, even here, your brain is gently listening, processing, resting. So let's follow the path of thought, to where it meets emotion, to where reason softens into feeling, and the mind becomes the heart. Let's explore emotion. Emotion, the brain's compass. Emotion is not a flaw in logic. It is not a failure of reason. It is part of the mind's design, essential, wise, precise. Emotions tell you what matters. They help your brain decide where to look, where to act, what to remember. They prioritize. They focus your attention on the meaningful. Without emotion, life would be flat. Details would flood in, but nothing would stand out. Emotion gives your inner world contrast. Like light and shadow in a painting, it adds depth, dimension, direction. Let's return to where emotion begins. In the limbic system, a set of ancient brain structures tucked beneath the surface. It includes the amygdala dash, sharp, fast, alert. It detects emotional significance in a flash. A look, a sound, a change in posture. The amygdala reacts before you can think, before you even know why. And that's its job, to warn, to mark experience as meaningful, to prepare your body to respond. But the amygdala does more than detect danger. It also responds to pleasure, surprise, joy, anything emotionally intense. It says, this matters. Pay attention. Remember this, because emotional moments shape your memory. The hippocampus, sitting close by, helps you store those moments. Together, they form emotional memories. Vivid, sticky, powerful. This is why you remember where you were during major events, why smells can take you back to childhood, why laughter stays with you. The brain doesn't store every detail. It keeps what carries weight. Emotion is the weight. But emotion doesn't act alone. Enter the prefrontal cortex. Specifically, the ventromedial and dorsolateral areas. These regions help you interpret emotion. They let you consider context. They add perspective. You might feel a spike of anger, but the prefrontal cortex lets you pause to ask, is this helpful? Is this fair? What should I do? This is emotional regulation, the dance between feeling and reflection. And it's a skill, not a switch. You can strengthen it, just like a muscle, through mindfulness, through therapy, through time, through care, not to suppress emotion, but to hold it kindly, to stay with it, without being drowned by it. And some emotions are louder than others. Some rise quickly, then pass. Others linger in the background, like soft weather in the soul. Some are easy to name, happy, sad, angry. Others are complex, guilt mixed with relief, love tangled with fear, hope wrapped in grief. Your brain can hold all of them. Researchers sometimes map emotions along two dimensions: valence, how pleasant or unpleasant they feel, and arousal, how activating or calming they are. For example, excitement is pleasant and high arousal. Calm is pleasant and low arousal. Anger is unpleasant but high arousal. Sadness is unpleasant and low arousal. This framework helps describe emotional states, but real feelings are more fluid, more layered, less easy to box. And that's okay. Emotions are not puzzles to be solved. They are signals to be understood, felt, listened to, even the ones you resist. They often carry truths the mind hasn't put into words. Fear can reveal what you care about. Sadness can show what you've loved. Anger can guard your values. Every emotion is trying to help, even if it doesn't always feel helpful. And emotion lives not just in the brain, but in the body. You feel it in your heart rate, in your gut, in your chest, your hands, your face. This is called somatic marking, where emotional memories are stored as bodily sensations. A stomach drop when nervous, tension in the jaw when stressed, warmth in the chest when in love. These are not random, they are maps, they are messages. Your body speaks emotion too. There are many kinds of emotions. Some arrive like a wave, others hum softly beneath the surface. Some are clear, others are tangled, and the brain doesn't feel them one at a time. It blends them, just like colors. You can feel joy and sorrow together, gratitude and grief, love and fear. These mixed emotions are not confusion. They are truths living side by side, and your brain can hold all of them. Scientists often talk about basic emotions, hardwired universal reactions: joy, fear, anger, sadness, disgust, surprise. They emerge early in life. They appear across all cultures, and even animals show them. They are part of your evolutionary toolkit to protect, to connect, to survive. But beyond the basics, the brain weaves complex emotions. These involve memory, language, identity, shame, guilt, embarrassment, pride, love. They depend on self-awareness. They require the brain to imagine how others see you and how you see yourself. These emotions often emerge later in childhood. They're shaped by family, by culture, by experience. They form the emotional fabric of adulthood, and they tell longer stories. Consider love. It's not a single feeling. It is warmth, safety, trust, memory. It activates the reward system, releasing dopamine when you feel connection. It boosts oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It quiets the stress response, and it creates emotional maps in the brain, patterns tied to certain voices, faces, places. Love isn't just emotion, it is attachment. It is recognition. It is returning. Or take happiness. It's not simply pleasure. It's not constant joy. It's a blend of neurotransmitters: dopamine for reward, serotonin for balance, oxytocin for bonding, endorphins for comfort. Happiness can be high energy, like laughter, or low and peaceful, like contentment. It is not one note, it is a whole chord, and the brain plays it differently each time. No emotion is bad. Each has its purpose. Anger can show you where your boundaries are, where justice matters. It's not rage, it's a signal, a call to act. Sadness invites slowing down, reflection, connection, letting go. It is not weakness. It is a release period, a form of care. Your emotions are not flaws. They are feedback. They are guides, but they are also shared. Your brain doesn't only feel for itself, it feels with others. This is empathy, and it is real, and it is deep. Mirror neurons in your brain fire when you see someone else smile, or wince, or cry. Your brain mirrors their feeling, as if it were your own. Empathy isn't just a concept, it's a neural resonance. It helps children bond with parents, friends comfort each other, strangers help in times of need. And it's not limited to joy. You can absorb someone's sadness too, their tension, their fatigue. This is why emotional boundaries matter: to care without collapsing, to feel without drowning. When empathy is unrelenting, the brain gets tired, compassion fatigue, emotional burnout. These are not signs of failure. They are signs of overuse, of a system designed to care. That needs time to rest, and the brain has tools for this. Regulation isn't just mental, it's physical. Breathing slowly calms the nervous system. Movement discharges stress. Touch releases calming hormones. Music soothes limbic tension. Sleep resets emotional balance. Your brain knows how to recover if you give it the chance. And sometimes, you don't need to solve an emotion. You don't need to change it. You only need to witness it, to say, yes, that's here. And breathe. This is emotional acceptance, not giving in, not giving up, but giving space. Emotions pass more easily when they're allowed to stay. So whatever you feel right now, welcome it: joy, stillness, uncertainty, grief, relief. Let it move through, like weather, like breath, like music. There is no rush. You are not broken. You are feeling. And that is what it means to be alive. Your brain is not just a thinking organ. It is a feeling organ, a connecting organ, a caring one. It remembers love. It grieves loss. It reaches out. This is what makes it human, what makes you human. So now, with your emotional mind gently at rest, we turn toward another rhythm, the mind in sleep, the theater of dreams. Let's explore the science of sleep. Sleep and dreams, the brain's night work. Sleep is not the absence of thought. It is not a shutting down. It is a shift, a change in rhythm, a return to something deep and restorative. Each night, your brain takes you through a quiet cycle. It leads you from wakefulness into light sleep, into deep sleep, and into dreams. It does this gently, naturally, without your effort. The body lies still, but the brain continues its work. Let's begin with the architecture of sleep. There are two main types of sleep: non-REM sleep and REM sleep. REM meaning rapid eye movement. Non-REM sleep has 3 stages. Stage 1 is light. You drift between wakefulness and sleep. Stage 2 is deeper. Body temperature drops, muscles relax. Stage 3 is slow wave sleep or deep sleep, where the brain enters its quietest state. During deep sleep, your brain generates delta waves dash dash dash, slow, synchronized patterns of neural activity. This is when the body repairs tissue, strengthens the immune system, releases growth hormone. It is physical restoration, but it's also mental. During this stage, memories are consolidated. New information is stabilized. The brain sifts through what it has learned. Then, the cycle changes. The brain shifts into REM sleep. Eyes flicker beneath closed lids. Muscles are paralyzed to keep you from acting out dreams. But inside the skull, the brain lights up. This is the time of dreams. In REM sleep, brain activity resembles wakefulness. The visual cortex, the limbic system, and the prefrontal areas all become active. But the patterns are fluid. Boundaries dissolve, time stretches, identity shifts, logic melts into feeling. You may fly, you may relive a memory, you may meet someone long gone, and it feels real. Because to your brain, it is. The same areas that process real perception during the day process dreams at night. But where do these dreams come from? Why does the brain dream? No one knows for sure, but many theories exist. Some say dreams are for emotional processing, a way to rehearse difficult feelings in a safe space, to explore fear, desire, loss, hope. Others believe dreams are for creativity, a chance for the brain to form unexpected connections, to find patterns, to imagine possibilities. Dreams may also help with problem solving. You may fall asleep with uncertainty and wake with clarity. Artists, inventors, and scientists have all spoken of insights that arrived in sleep. The mind, when untethered, can roam farther. Dreams are not nonsense. They are emotional landscapes, painted in silence by the sleeping brain. Some are vivid and strange. Others are soft and flickering. Some you remember clearly. Some vanish as you wake, but all of them leave a trace, in feeling, in memory, in the texture of your morning mind. And while you dream, the brain is doing something else too. It is cleaning itself. Yes, the brain has its own cleaning system. During sleep, cerebrospinal fluid flows through the brain. rinsing away metabolic waste, the byproducts of neural activity. This is the glymphatic system. It helps reduce inflammation, supports long-term brain health, and it works best when you are deeply asleep. This is why sleep is essential, not optional. Without enough sleep, the brain struggles, memory falters, emotions become less regulated, focus drifts, even the immune system weakens. But when you sleep, balance returns. Learning is reinforced, stress is reduced, healing begins, and sleep has rhythm. It follows a circadian cycle, about 24 hours long. This cycle is governed by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny region in the hypothalamus that acts as your internal clock. It responds to light and dark, to temperature, to routine. At night, in darkness, your brain releases melatonin, a hormone that signals sleep. In the morning, with light, melatonin drops. Your body wakes. Your energy returns. This is why natural light in the morning helps. Why screens at night, with their blue light, can delay sleep. Your brain listens to light, even with closed eyes. But don't worry. Sleep is forgiving. You don't need to fall asleep perfectly. You don't need to try hard. Sleep comes when it's ready. It is not something you force. It is something you allow. And your brain knows how to sleep. It has done it every night of your life. It will do it again tonight. So, if you feel drowsy now, let yourself drift. If dreams come, let them come. Let them carry you, like waves over quiet water. Because even in sleep, you are safe. You are held. Your brain is with you, caring for you, restoring you, softly, silently. And now, as your breath slows, let's drift toward another truth, that your brain is not just resting, it is growing. Let's explore neuroplasticity, the brain's power to change. Neuroplasticity, the changing brain. Your brain is not fixed, it is not finished, it is always changing. From your very first breath, and even before, your brain has been shaping itself. Every experience leaves a trace. Every sight, every sound, every choice. Your brain listens to your life and changes in response. This ability to adapt is called neuroplasticity. It means the brain is not hardwired. It is soft-wired. It bends, learns, rewires, repairs. When you practice a skill, like playing a piano, or speaking a new language, or simply noticing your breath, you are changing your brain. The connections between neurons, called synapses, become stronger. The pathways become more efficient. The signals travel more quickly. What fires together, wires together. At first, a new pathway is slow, uncertain, weak, but with repetition, it strengthens. The brain lays down myelin, a fatty coating that wraps around axons like insulation around wire. It helps signals travel faster with less interference. This is how practice leads to fluency, how awkward becomes graceful. And this applies to more than movement or language. You can train attention, train kindness, train resilience, even emotional responses like patience or compassion can be practiced and strengthened. Through repetition, your brain is listening to what you focus on, to what you return to what you give time. And just as connections strengthen with use, they weaken with disuse. When you stop practicing a skill, the pathway fades, not in punishment, but in efficiency. The brain clears what is no longer needed, so it can focus on what matters now. This process is called synaptic pruning, and it happens throughout your life. Neuroplasticity is strongest in childhood. Young brains are flexible, rapidly learning, rapidly changing. But plasticity never disappears. Even in older age, the brain can adapt. It can learn, relearn, reroute. You can build new skills, form new habits, see with new eyes. And when the brain is injured, from stroke, trauma, or disease, other regions can sometimes take over. This is called functional reorganization. A neighboring network, learning a new job. It's not always fast, not always complete, but it happens. Over months, over years, the brain finds new paths. There are stories of people who lost the ability to speak and slowly regained it, of limbs that were paralyzed and slowly moved again, of memories that seemed gone but began to return. This is not magic, it is plasticity. And change is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, like learning to pause before reacting, like choosing to see someone differently, like letting go of an old story and allowing space for a new one. Even a new perspective is a new pathway. Plasticity means you are not stuck, not defined by what came before, not trapped by yesterday's patterns. You are capable of change, of soft rewiring, of slow becoming, even now, as you lie still. Your brain is adapting. The rhythm of my voice, the sense of calm, the quiet attention, all of it shapes activity in your mind. Neurons are adjusting, tuning to rest, preparing for sleep. This too is learning. But plasticity has limits. The brain is not a blank slate. It cannot change everything all at once. Environment matters, nutrition matters, safety matters. A stressed brain is a cautious brain. Its energy goes toward protection, not learning. But when you feel safe, when you feel supported, your brain opens, it explores, it grows. Sleep supports plasticity. So does repetition, so does emotion. When something moves you deeply, a piece of music, a moment of beauty, a word of kindness, it's remembered more strongly because emotion tells the brain, this matters. So be gentle with yourself. Change takes time, and time is not wasted. Even when you rest, even when you pause, new connections are forming, old ones are reshaping. Growth is not always visible, but it is always happening. And the brain remembers not only what you do, but how you feel while doing it. Kindness helps learning. Joy helps focus. Curiosity helps change. These are not luxuries, they are fuel. Imagine a forest. Each step you take lays down a path. The more you return, the clearer it becomes. That is what you're doing now. Each choice, each habit, each gentle return, shaping your mind. You are not just growing knowledge, you are growing yourself, and the map of your brain reflects it all. So now let's pause and listen deeper, beneath the pathways, beneath the thoughts, to the rhythms that underlie it all. Let's explore the music of the brain, its waves, its pulses, its flow. Brain waves, the rhythm of the mind. Beneath every thought, every memory, every breath, there is rhythm. Your brain doesn't just think. It pulses, It hums. It dances in waves. Brain waves are patterns of electrical activity. They reflect how groups of neurons fire together, not chaotically, but in synchrony. Millions of neurons aligning, rising and falling like a tide. Each wave has a frequency dash, a speed, a signature, and each wave carries a different kind of awareness. There are 5 main types of brain waves. They range from the slowest to the fastest. Delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. Let's drift through them, one by one. First, delta waves. These are the slowest waves, deep and wide. They occur in slow wave sleep, the deepest stage of rest. In delta, the brain is most still. It cleans, repairs, restores. Your heart rate slows, your breath deepens, tissue regenerates, memories consolidate. Delta is the wave of healing, of reset, of night's deepest quiet. Next come theta waves. Theta lives between sleep and waking. In light sleep, in daydreams, in deep meditation. It is a wave of imagery, of intuition, of memory. In theta, the brain drifts inward. You may see dreamlike pictures. You may feel emotions rise gently. You may sense connections without needing words. Theta is the wave of the subconscious, of insight that feels like remembering. Then comes alpha. Alpha waves appear when you are calm but awake, eyes closed, breathing slow, present, but not focused on any task. Alpha is the rhythm of inner stillness, the quiet mind, the creative pause. It often emerges during yoga, mindful walking, or gentle listening. It is where tension melts, where space opens. Now, beta waves. These are faster, more alert. Beta appears when you are working, solving, reading, planning. It is the wave of thinking. Beta helps you focus, engage, performance. But too much beta, for too long, can feel like overthinking, like stress, like racing thoughts. This is why we seek balance, why we turn to music, to breath, to breaks. And finally, gamma waves, the fastest waves of all. Gamma appears during deep concentration, during moments of clarity, when the brain integrates information from many sources at once. It is rare but powerful. Gamma is linked to learning, to spiritual experience, to peak mental states. In some studies, long-time meditators show high gamma during compassion meditation. The brain, synchronized in harmony. Now imagine these waves not as layers that replace one another, but as rivers that flow together, in different depths, at different speeds. You are never only in one wave. You are in a blend, a pattern shaped by activity, mood, and rhythm. Your brain can move from beta to alpha in minutes, from wakefulness to sleep in gentle waves, and it does this every day, naturally, quietly. Many things influence brain waves. Sleep deepens delta, meditation increases theta and alpha, focused tasks activate beta, moments of insight may spark gamma. Even something as simple as breath can shift your waves. Slow, deep breathing increases alpha activity, softens stress, opens calm. This is called respiratory sinus arrhythmia, where breath and heart rhythms synchronize, and the brain follows. Breath is not just life. It is rhythm. It is control. When you breathe with intention, you send a signal to your brain. It's safe. You can rest. And your brain listens. It adjusts. The waves shift. thoughts become softer, emotions grow still, awareness becomes wide and gentle. This is the state of calm attention, the foundation for creativity, for connection, for healing. Some researchers believe that consciousness itself may arise not just from what fires in the brain, but how it fires, and when it fires, in patterns, in timing, in rhythm. Consciousness as synchrony, awareness as harmony. This is still a mystery, but a beautiful one. Your brain is not a machine, it is a symphony. 1,000 instruments, each with its own tone, its own wave, and when they play in time, you feel whole, you feel here, and sometimes the most beautiful music is silence. Even now, as you lie here, your brain may be shifting from beta to alpha to theta, drifting toward sleep, toward dreaming. And there is nothing you need to do. Just rest. Let the rhythm carry you. Let the waves wash gently over your mind. Because next, we explore another kind of rhythm. One you already know. One your body already remembers. The rhythm of music. The brain's language without words. Music and the brain, sound that moves us. Music is not just sound, it is sensation, emotion, memory, meaning, connection. You don't need to study music theory to feel it. You don't need to explain a melody to be moved by it. Music speaks a language the brain knew before birth, a language made of rhythm and tone, of tension and release, a language older than words and deeper than logic. When a note begins, your brain listens, not passively, but actively. The auditory cortex decodes the raw sound, pitch, timbre, rhythm. The motor cortex anticipates movement, your foot tapping, your fingers twitching. The limbic system responds with emotion, warmth, nostalgia, exhilaration. The prefrontal cortex seeks meaning, linking the music to memory, identity, culture. Unlike most experiences, music doesn't stay in one part of the brain. It creates a symphony of activity across regions, lighting up networks for attention, memory, movement, reward, and emotion, all at once. It is one of the few things that activates nearly the entire brain. And this connection begins early. Even in the womb, the brain responds to music. At around 25 weeks, fetuses can hear. They respond to rhythm. They are calmed by lullabies sung by their mother. They recognize familiar melodies after birth. Music is one of the first forms of communication. Before language, there is sound. Before words, there is rhythm. And at the other end of life, when many memories have faded, music often remains. In people with advanced dementia, a song from the past can awaken awareness. Eyes brighten, lips move, hands keep time. Even in silence, the echo of music endures. That's because music is deeply tied to memory. When you hear a song you once loved, your brain recalls more than the notes. It brings back context, where you were, who you were with, how you felt. This happens through the hippocampus, which stores long-term memory, and the amygdala, which tags memory with emotion. Together, they form what scientists call musical memory. It's not just the tune you recall, it's the entire emotional moment wrapped within it. This is why music can transport you back to a summer afternoon, a childhood home, a lost friendship, a first dance. A single chord can soften your heart. A melody can bring tears before your mind even knows why. Music bypasses analysis. It reaches the parts of the brain that speak in feeling. It moves through circuits of memory and lands directly in the body. Even when memory is impaired, music often endures. In Alzheimer's disease, language may fade. Names may be lost. Timelines may blur, but music holds steady. A familiar tune may bring clarity. A person who hasn't spoken in days may sing a lyric. A hand may begin to move in rhythm. This is not a miracle. It is neurology. It is resilience in sound. Music is also movement. In people with Parkinson's disease, whose steps may freeze mid-motion, a steady rhythm can unlock walking. The beat engages motor circuits, guiding the body when it struggles to guide itself. In children with developmental delays, melody often comes before speech. They may sing before they can speak, because melody accesses language from a different angle. Reaching places words alone cannot. This is why music therapy works. It is not just entertainment, it is intervention. Music isn't just a private experience, it connects, it heals, it synchronizes us with ourselves and with others. This is the essence of music therapy. It can help reduce anxiety, lower heart rate, support trauma recovery. It offers a space for expression when words feel too sharp, too distant, too heavy. A song can be a bridge. From confusion to clarity, from sadness to comfort, from isolation to belonging. And music is especially powerful in early life. Lullabies are universal. Across all cultures, parents sing to infants. They use gentle tones, predictable rhythms, soothing patterns, not just to comfort the baby, but to regulate themselves. Music links two nervous systems. The voice of the caregiver becomes a signal of safety, a metronome of calm. This is known as co-regulation, where one person's nervous system helps stabilize another's, and music makes that possible. You don't need to be a musician to feel these effects. You don't need to sing in tune. You don't even need to sing aloud. Just humming, softly, activates the vagus nerve, a key part of the parasympathetic nervous system. The body's calming circuit. It slows the heart, lowers blood pressure, eases digestion, restores equilibrium. Even gentle humming can create peace inside the body. And singing, even quietly, lights up your brain. It brings together breath, memory, emotion, expression, and coordination. Singing is not just listening, it is participation. It is sound made flesh. This is embodied music, where voice becomes action, and action becomes feeling. Music also changes how you perceive the world. It does more than stir emotion. It shapes your senses. Some people experience synesthesia, a blending of sensory input. They might see colors when they hear notes, or feel texture in a sound. They might taste shape, or hear light. But even without synesthesia, music colors perception. A major chord may brighten your mood. A minor key may bring a soft ache. Fast rhythms energize. Slow rhythms soothe. Music becomes the emotional lighting of the mind. And it doesn't have to be complex. A single drum beat, a quiet melody, a low hum in the dark. These are enough. Music doesn't demand attention. It invites presence. It's why we tap without thinking. Why we sing to ourselves when alone. Why our brains seek patterns in wind, water, birdsong. Music lives in culture, but it also lives in biology. It is part of how we regulate, part of how we relate, part of how we rest. Some scientists believe music may have come before language. That rhythm was our first form of expression. That melody helped us bond before words were born. cries, calls, lullabies, songs of warning, songs of comfort. In early human tribes, music may have helped build trust. Coordinate movement, soothe fear. The brain did not evolve in silence, it evolved in harmony. And even now, when no song is playing, music remains. You feel it in your heartbeat, in the pattern of your breath, in the sway of walking, in the pace of your thoughts. These are internal rhythms, the quiet music of the body, and your brain listens. So, if you feel the urge, human, sing. Tap gently. Let yourself join the music that's already within you. There is no wrong way. The music welcomes you. And as you rest in this rhythm, we turn now to something even more subtle, even more mysterious, the rhythm of identity, the quiet voice your brain creates. That tells the story of who you are. Let's explore the self and how the brain builds it. Identity, the story of you. Who are you? It sounds like a simple question, but your brain does not hold a single answer, because the self is not a fixed thing. It is a process, an unfolding, a quiet rhythm that changes with time. You wake up each day with a sense of continuity. You remember your name, you recall your past, you expect to be you. But underneath that familiarity is a beautiful complexity, because the self is built, moment by moment, signal by signal, story by story. Neuroscientists believe the brain creates identity through integration. Different brain regions work together. Memory, emotion, sensation, awareness, all stitched into a single thread. This thread is yourself, a narrative, a sense of I am. It doesn't live in one place. It arises from connection. One important system in this process is the default mode network. It becomes active when you're not focused outward, when your mind wanders, when you reflect, when you daydream. The default mode network is thought to help build the narrative self, the version of you that remembers the past, imagines the future, and finds meaning in between. It connects your life into a timeline. So you don't just experience the present, you understand your place within it. But you are more than memory. You are also body. Inside the brain, the insula plays a role in sensing the internal world. Heartbeat, breath, warmth, hunger. This is called interoception, the awareness of your inner state. It forms the embodied self, the part of you that feels here, now, real. Together, the narrative self and the embodied self create a feeling of being someone, somewhere, the experience of being alive as you. And yet, you are always changing. The person you were at 5 years old had a different voice, different fears, different joys. That self is part of you, but not all of you. Every moment changes the pattern. Every choice reshapes the story. This is identity in motion. Some changes come slowly, gently, like a river carving stone. Others arrive quickly, a loss, a discovery, a moment of clarity. The brain adapts, the self rewrites. New memories form, new meanings emerge. Old beliefs soften or strengthen. And sometimes the self feels fractured, after trauma, in grief, in illness. When memory and presence don't align, you may feel disconnected from who you were, or unsure who you are becoming. These are not failures. They are signs of a brain trying to cope, trying to survive, trying to protect. Even confusion, is a kind of care. And even the sense of I can dissolve in deep meditation, in moments of awe, in profound flow states. People report a feeling of unity, of timelessness, of being without boundary. This is not loss. It is stillness, a glimpse beneath the narrative. Some call it consciousness, others awareness, presence, being. This presence is hard to measure. We can track brain activity, trace patterns, map networks, but we cannot yet explain why it feels like anything to be you. This is the mystery of consciousness. Why does firing neurons create a sense of self, of experience, of me? No one fully knows. And perhaps that's part of its beauty. Because you are not just your thoughts, not just your memories, not just your body. You are the one who notices, the one who reflects, the one who changes. You are the witness and the story, the dancer and the dance. And your story is still unfolding. Every new thought, every quiet decision, every act of care shapes yourself, shapes your brain, shapes the next chapter. You are not trapped in a script. You are writing it right now, even in rest, even in sleep. So if you've ever wondered who you are, know this. You are not the voice in your head. You are the awareness that hears it. You are not the roles you've played. You are the presence beneath them. You are not just a brain. You are the being, the spark, the story carried within it. And with that story gently cradled, we turn to one last wonder, the softest of feelings, the deepest of rhythms, the feeling of awe, the experience of wonder, the sense of something larger than self. Let's go there now. Awe and wonder, the brain beyond self. There is a feeling that rises when you look at the stars, when you stand before the sea, when you hold someone and say nothing, but everything is understood. That feeling is wonder. Wonder is not confusion. It is not the absence of knowing. It is the presence of mystery. It is being moved by something vast, by something greater than yourself, that somehow includes you. The brain is wired for this, to seek the unknown, to reach beyond itself, to feel awe. When awe arises, the default mode network grows quiet. The inner narrator pauses, the self loosens. In these moments, people report feeling small, yet deeply connected, insignificant, yet full of meaning. This is not contradiction, it is perspective. Awe can be triggered by nature, by article, by music, by love, by birth, by death, by the vast and the intimate. The parietal lobe, which helps define boundaries and location, also changes during awe. It may help explain why people feel merged with the world, less separate, more whole. And in awe comes humility, the sense that there is more to know, more to feel, more to be. This fuels curiosity, another rhythm the brain knows well. Curiosity is the drive to explore, to ask, to learn, to touch the edges of what's known, and gently reach beyond. Children are full of it. So are scientists, so are artists, and so, at times, are you. When curiosity awakens, your brain lights up. The dopaminergic system becomes active. Anticipation, pleasure, motivation, all begin to stir. You are rewarded not just for answers, but for asking. Through curiosity, the brain begins to find meaning. Meaning isn't just found, it's made. Your brain takes in experiences and writes stories. It connects dots, finds patterns, seeks purpose. This is not fantasy, it is function. A brain with meaning is more resilient, more hopeful, more connected. Even in pain, meaning can grow. Even in loss, new stories can form. Meaning does not erase hardship. It offers context. It turns scars into symbols, wounds into wisdom. And sometimes, the meaning isn't clear at all. It is simply felt, in stillness, in presence. This is the final wonder, that your brain, a soft electrical forest, can ask questions the universe cannot answer. What is life? What is love? What is time? Who am I? These questions are not flaws. They are signs of depth, of awareness, of being human. And as our journey draws to a close, let's reflect. We've traveled through thought and feeling, through neurons and memory, through rhythm and sleep, through identity and imagination. We've drifted through perception, wandered through dreams, rested in silence, all within you, all held in your brain. This journey was not a lesson, not a test. There was nothing to solve, nothing to remember, only to feel, to rest, to remember how quietly powerful you are. Your brain is not separate from you. It is you. It holds your memories. It shapes your thoughts. It builds your sense of self. And even now, in sleep, it cares for you. So as you lie here, let it work in peace. Let it soften. Let the story pause. Let the waves settle. You are safe. You are whole. You are enough. The breath slows. The mind stills. The body rests. And if dreams come, let them be kind. Let them carry you gently. Let them hold all you've learned and all you've let go. You are a quiet miracle, a living symphony, a slow burning star. You are the mind that listens, the heart that feels, the presence behind it all. And now, you rest. Good night.